Ever caught someone stealing from you, then had the nerve to call the cops on you? Yeah, that happened to me, and I still can't decide if it's hilarious or just plain sad. Picture this. I'm walking outside, and what do I see? One fat orange extension cord running straight from my mountain cabin, snaking 200 feet across my land, humming away like it's got nothing to hide. I yank it out of the ground. Not 30 seconds later, boom, here she comes. Hair perfectly blown out, that brand new outdoor jacket she probably bought online. She's never hiked a day in her life. And she's already on the phone yelling for the whole forest to hear. Yes, officer. This man is threatening to leave disabled people in the dark. All this as if I'm some villain straight out of a tabloid headline. And the grin on her face, I swear you'd think she just won a prize. She has no clue, none at all, that the guy she's threatening could black out half the county with the flip of a switch. You ever see karma walk up in broad daylight? I could have ended her free electricity then and there. But honestly, I wanted to see just how deep she'd dig her own grave. So how did I end up in a showdown with someone who thinks drama is a personality trait? Let me back up. My name's Jake. 2 years ago, I inherited my granddad's cabin up here in the Colorado Rockies. After 2 decades in the Army, I needed quiet space to figure out my life, maybe fix my head. And for a while, that's exactly what I found. 40 acres of pine and rock, a cabin that still smells like cedar and old leather. Grandpa built it in '47, and he left every tool, every coffee stain, every memory tucked into the woodwork. Most mornings you'll find me with a mug in hand watching steam curl up through the cracked window, just listening to the creek run. I set up solar panels. Grandpa would have called it stealing from the sun. I made it work. And for the first year and a half it was peaceful. Birdsong, wind in the pines, the kind of quiet you don't get in cities or anywhere there's a neighbor within spitting distance. Then Karen moved in down the road. She bought the old 5-acre lot half a mile through the trees, and let me tell you, she was the type who'd never met a wilderness she couldn't gentrify. RVs everywhere. Main coach office storage, AC units roaring like a jet engine. And day one, she's complaining about my truck, my solar panels, even the way I stack my firewood. Like the mountains needed her approval. A week after she arrived, she's on my porch. Tears in her eyes, telling me her disabled brother is visiting, needs power for his oxygen machine. Could she just run a little cord over just for a couple days? Look, I'm not heartless. I said yes, but with rules, just essentials, and she'd cover the cost. But that tiny cord, it turned into a thick contractor-grade cable by day 3. Suddenly, it wasn't just medical stuff. It was her hot tub, giant fans, floodlights so bright I swear passing planes could see them. My bill jumped from $80 to $340. And every time I brought it up, are you sure your meter's working? Or maybe your solar system's acting up, like I was the crazy one. She started sending in noise complaints. Took pictures of my place like she was building a case for the homeowners association, which, let's be clear, doesn't exist out here. And all the while, her setup kept growing. Welding gear, space heaters, a margarita machine, for God's sake. She'd built a whole resort powered by yours truly. But here's what Karen never bothered to find out. See, my grandpa wasn't just some stubborn old man with a hammer. And I didn't just stumble into this place. I'm an electrical engineer. 15 years setting up power in places where the only law is what you can rig together with wire and duct tape. So that day, with the extension cord, I'm standing there, her yelling about disabled people, me holding evidence of 8 months of theft. And then the sheriff shows up looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Karen puts on her best victim face voice, quivering for the Oscars. He cut off my disabled brother's oxygen. Meanwhile, the RV's quiet as a tomb. The deputy checks. No brother, no medical equipment, just a hot tub, bubbling away, industrial fans spinning, and a power bill that could feed a family for a month. I show him my photos, my bill's the literal cord in the dirt. Even a county cop can spot a crime when it's tripping him in the driveway. That's when Karen pulls her trump card. I have legal documents, she says, flashing a paper with fancy stamps and signatures claiming some kind of utility easement from the 1950s. But something's off the font, the paper, the company name. And after years dealing with real utility contracts, I know a fake when I see one. So I let her think she's won for now. Over the next days, things go nuclear. She files complaints, safety violations, code infractions. The county inspector comes by, looks over my setup, and shakes his head. Textbook, he says. But Karen's RV village, not a single permit. 15 grand in unpaid fees at least. And then it clicks. She's done this before. I dig into her background. Turns out Karen's got a string of victims all over Arizona. elderly neighbor water theft, fake septic systems, stolen utilities. Every time she gets caught, she cries discrimination files, lawsuits, settles for cash, moves on. She's a professional. She's been perfecting this scam for years. So I start building my own case. I call up Marcus, an old army buddy turned forensic analyst, and he brings more gadgets than the local police department. We document every scratch on my meter because Karen tried to break in, tried to hook herself up again, and triggered the anti-tamper alert. And just when I think things can't get more absurd, Karen brings in the media. News vans, reporters, cameras everywhere. She stands in front of her RV, surrounded by oxygen tanks and monitors, props, nothing more, crying for the world to see. Claims I'm denying power to disabled veterans. I invite the reporter inside, spread out the evidence, show her the forged documents, the photos, the full timeline. And slowly you can see her realize she's got the real story right in front of her. Karen's narrative falls apart before the camera's even warmed up. Next thing, Karen tries to have my power cut by calling in fake tree trimming crews. Claims my lines are sparking dangerous, threatening lives. The workers show up, paperwork in hand, and I have to explain these lines are private on my land. No one authorized anything. Karen's mask slips a little more. Her final move, legal threats. Cease and desist letters, discrimination charges, emergency injunctions. For a minute, it almost works. She convinces a judge to freeze my authority as cooperative chairman. But here's what her army of lawyers didn't count on. Mountain communities have long memories and even longer phone trees. Word spreads. Every rancher, every business, every family who relies on our power starts showing up. That night, our little community center is packed. Karen's front and center, medical theater in full swing. But now her hands are shaking. The crowd's not buying it. There's a buzz in the air, justice is coming, and you can feel it. Margaret, who's run the cooperative longer than I've been alive, stands up and lays it all out. Fraud, theft, false claims. Karen leaps up crying foul, but the detective is already moving warrant in hand. Karen Whitmore, you're under arrest for wire fraud, civil rights violations, interstate theft, conspiracy. The place erupts, not with shock, but with relief. Months of frustration finally released. I step up to the podium, Grandpa's old tie, feeling a little tight but proud all the same. I tell them the truth. I tell them she didn't just steal from me. She stole from every single person in this room. Every dollar she siphoned off made someone else's bill higher. And then I let the real punchline drop. She's been robbing the owner of the power company the whole time. The laughter shakes the rafters. Karen's lawyer tries to protest, but it's done. The vote is unanimous, her service terminated permanently. As she's led out in handcuffs, Karen's still yelling about connections, lawsuits, but nobody's listening. The doors close behind her, and for the first time in months, there's peace. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my porch, coffee in hand, sunrise lighting up the mountains. Karen's doing time for wire fraud, her whole network rolled up after investigators started pulling the thread. Money recovered sent back to the cooperatives. Even better, we used the funds to start a scholarship, send mountain kids to study engineering, protect our own from predators like her. We upgraded every meter, installed new alerts, monthly workshops to help folks spot scams. We became the model for rural utilities. People started calling us for advice, not warnings. Karen's old property. The county took it, turned it into a campground for real disabled veterans. The universe has a sense of humor, you know. Her scam turned into something good. And me, I found a new rhythm. I'm not just living Grandpa's legacy, I'm building on it. Community purpose even met someone. Life's quieter, but it's alive. You know, Grandpa wrote once that mountain folks survive by looking out for each other. It's true. Justice isn't just punishment, it's turning what's broken into something worth keeping. So tell me, have you ever had a neighbor who thought your kindness made you a target? Dealt with scammers, HOA nightmares, or property disputes that went nuclear? Drop your story below. Your experience could be what someone else needs to stand up for themselves. And if you want more stories like this about folks who picked the wrong person to mess with, stick around. Trust me, karma has a way of finding the right address.